So it's no secret that J. Jonah Jameson wasn't a fan of Spider-Man. In some versions of the story, he hates Spider-Man, in others, not quite, but either way, he drags Spider-Man's name through the mud. Growing up, Jameson's dad didn't have too much involvement in his life, and he was partly raised by his uncle. Now, his uncle was a military veteran, but whilst he was seen as a hero in that sense, in his home life he was an abusive husband and not a particularly good father. Thanks to this, Jameson didn't exactly believe in heroes all that much. Thanks to his financial successes, Jameson had the great platform to smear a bunch of vigilantes' names, mainly Spider-Man's name. See, in one of the older comics, Jameson explains that he was worried about the effects that Spider-Man's vigilanteism was having on children, and goes with the whole, the children, think of the children route. Now, this actually works, and Spider-Man's name is driven through the mud a bit, but it's later revealed that the real reason as to why he kind of did all these things to drag Spider-Man's name through the mud was in fact just because Spider-Man represents a better version of himself, and Jameson was envious of Spider-Man to a degree. Also in the comics, Jameson's still using his position and wealth to destroy Spider-Man's name, and this is pretty effective. Even Aunt May doesn't really want anything to do with this Spider-Man. And even despite saving Jameson's son from a malfunctioning space capsule, Jonathan returns the favor by accusing Spider-Man for the actual malfunction, saying that it was a publicity stunt in order for Spider-Man to become more famous and just profit from the whole thing. Of course, that wasn't true, but it didn't really matter. Funnily enough, though, Jameson ends up hiring Peter Parker at the Bugle thanks to his amateurish photos. Sometimes Spider-Man, sometimes a supervillain. Either way, Jameson wanted the photos enough, or is convinced in some way to take the photos. And it's not like Jameson treats Peter Parker amazingly well. He might take shots at him, or make a bunch of jokes at Peter's expense.
You serious?
But either way, Peter sticks with the job, partially because he knows that Jameson is very desperate for pictures of Spider-Man, and that's so strong that he just keeps taking the photos from Parker, even though he admits that Peter Parker's photos aren't the best. The important thing here, though, is that J. Jonah Jameson doesn't ask too many questions about where exactly Peter Parker's getting all of these Spider-Man photos from. If he was to go to the Daily Bugle's rivals, or another organization, they may ask more questions. He may be discovered as the Spider-Man, but continuously offering his services to J. Jonah Jameson is a less risque way of doing things for Spider-Man or Peter Parker. And partially because Peter Parker himself is still kicking himself in the butt over the death of his Uncle Ben. And so the whole taking all of that verbal punishment is sort of a way for Peter to try and atone for that sin that he keeps hanging over his head. So depending on the comic or version of the story we're going with, he either doesn't particularly hate Jameson, but more or less relies on him financially, at least for a time, or he really dislikes Jameson, perhaps feeling exploited by Jameson, or just very bitter over the whole, turning the media and society against Spider-Man thing. But yes, that's more or less what Peter thinks of J. Jonah Jameson. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, and of course subscribe to the channel for more content like this. But until the next video, have a very good day. I've been Prime, and I'll see you in a few.